playing high up on the pitch in Manchester City's academy to bossing it for club and country at left back. So far this month of November, 20-year-old Nico O'Reilly bagged his first of the season against Bournemouth, then continued his good form in the Champions League when thrashing Dortmund, then continued his good form again with a 3-0 triumph over Liverpool and Salah, and then to put the cherry on top, continuing his good form yet again with a win, clean sheet and good performance on his first England debut. Nico O'Reilly is an interesting footballer, one that I want to discuss today, his effectiveness in particular for club and country. Now, Nico O'Reilly doesn't feel like the typical young left back breaking through, but does hold the modern traits that a top club needs in a fullback. He fits into that centre back at fullback type of mould. O'Reilly has become an essential for Guardiola. In the 3 games the left back hasn't started from the off this season, City have lost 2 of them, with the only win coming against bottom of the league. The Englishman's exceptional all-round performance against Liverpool last week caught the eyes of many, including myself, locking up Mo Salah with some ease and then contributing effectively with his energy when City had the ball, backing up Guardiola's game plan perfectly. The game plan was to overload the centre to play through whilst creating open space out wide to stretch Arne's slot setup. Now I'm going to present to you later Nico O'Reilly's effectiveness, his complete effectiveness of going inside and outside, and I'll be doing that later. But firstly, let's talk about that inside and outside ability. The left back throughout the academy groups at Manchester City was used to playing much further up the field, handling him some good knowledge of the positional IQ and final third execution he contains today. O'Reilly shares the athleticism and all-round energy to bomb up the touchline for Manchester City, as we've seen with a couple of assists with crosses, his goal against Bournemouth, but this role isn't new. O'Reilly and Núñez allow City's wingers to squeeze in field to combine. They're capable of holding width, but of course, from their midfielding days, have the capabilities to excel in those inside tighter spaces. O'Reilly can directly invert, receive the ball with his back to the opposition goal, whilst withholding pressure with his 6'4" size. However, his left foot bias makes those wider spaces more suitable for his skill sets. He'll always look to lean into that direction. But with numbers in and around him, he shares the technical platform to bypass any challenges with composed but clever combination play. That same 6'4" size, by the way, authorises a little bit more control and dominance within those tighter spaces, but also in duels, 1v1s and defending the box. Now in those 1v1s he does have some improving to do. His overall defensive approach and defensive awareness could do with a little bit of improving, but it's natural, he's young, he's 20 years of age. Hopefully this is something that improves. But he's a left back built like a centre back with the movement and technical ability of a very classy midfielder. So how effective are those capabilities and what do they actually offer? Now within this segment of the video we're going to be talking about how he's been utilised under Pep Guardiola so far, but also look at how he's utilised for Thomas Tuchel as of last night, because both are fairly different but both are maximising his skill set. Now of course in this game, the game plan that City had, we have spoken of a little bit. They overloaded and played through the centre, and they played through them very well, but it did isolate the wide spaces for Nico O'Reilly and Matheus Núñez to charge into, allowing for City to push up the pitch, stretch Liverpool's shape and find spaces on crosses as well. So where does Nico O'Reilly come into all of this? Well, when a team goes a little bit more man-to-man and Manchester City's narrow approach, it matches Nico O'Reilly within these wide spaces. I mean, who wouldn't play narrowly with Manchester City? You have Gonzalez, you have Silva, Cherki, Foden, Doku, so many technical heads within that centre core. But Nico O'Reilly holds the priceless energy and athleticism to bomb up the touchline. Often he's thriving because of this, because they recycle the ball in and around here, and then it gets to a point where Nico O'Reilly is running in and charging into open space, and then he has the ability and unselfishness to put in some decent crosses. He's provided assist against Everton, which was very good. He provides highl with some nice crosses, a little cutback to Foden, a little combination play with Jeremy Doku as well. His athleticism is extremely good. He doesn't have the explosiveness of a very fast wingback like a Jeremy Frimpong within these wide spaces, but he does really excel. His playmaking is getting much better. His combination play, his know-how in that sort of final third, it is genuinely very, very good. And although he can thrive within these inside spaces too, I think the energy he provides on the outside is very optimal for Pep Guardiola. He exposes open spaces, and there's a sense of security when he does make these charging runs forward, because Nico O'Reilly can very easily chase back as well. I thought for England his defensive positioning last night didn't really get exposed. I think there was one point where they were going man to man, they didn't get the press right, and I think there was a slight bit of room on the right flank, but that was covered by John Stones. No worries. But Nico O'Reilly here I really like. All that athleticism, all that energy is put to really good use. He exposes the open space, and I think he's very good for Manchester City here. Now let's have a look at him for England on the inside as opposed to the outside. Now for England, I think there was a more interesting technical aspect from this game, and I'm going to make a comparison later in the way that Tuchel uses O'Reilly. It's very similar to how Mikel Arteta uses Calafiori. But Nico O'Reilly played at left back for England last night, and I think he shared a very decent, a very good performance. But it's not just this performance I'm doing the video on. I think he's been good for Manchester City lately. He's having a great month, as we established in the intro. So this was England's setup. It was of course very fluid within the centre, players were rotating, Rice had a little bit more license to charge forwards, but this was the setup, and the movement of Nico O'Reilly was absolutely fantastic. So whenever John Stones was on the ball here, or it was Elliot Anderson from a deeper position looking to pass out wide to Marcus Rashford, that's where the movement began within the middle third for Nico O'Reilly. Now Nico O'Reilly was picked up by Zivkovic. I've probably pronounced that wrong. I don't really know, to be honest with you, but Nico O'Reilly was tucking in because Zivkovic was following him. So essentially what Nico O'Reilly would do, he would position behind this defender. He's occupied by Declan Rice. Vlahovic was a little bit further forwards. Nico O'Reilly was operating behind him with his face front to Stones, to Anderson, to Ezri Konsa. He was doing this consistently. It was a sharp and very swift movement. He was floating on the inside. This created a very easy pass out wide to Marcus Rashford. It funnels the ball to him much better, and it also creates a 1v1 situation for Marcus Rashford with Mimovic, the fullback. So now Marcus Rashford is 1v1. The movement does not stop there. Tuchel wants to maintain that 1v1. He wants Marcus Rashford to have a little bit of freedom and to have a bit of space to attack, instead of a simple 2v1 and then boring, you pass the ball backwards. So what Nico O'Reilly would then do is he would make a charging run into the underlapping spaces. Now this has the potential to drag away Milenkovic from Kane, which creates an inside pass just here. But again, what it does, it potentially pulls away the winger, so Marcus Rashford has a pass on the inside, or he has all of this space to charge into on the inside. It's essentially a piece of counter movement that just creates so much more space for England. It also created space for Declan Rice to move into this left half space, who made a lot of charging, powerful runs forward within this game. But Nico O'Reilly, as that underlapping option, does provide quality on the crosses, and I think he was getting a few opportunities from this. It's essentially a productive piece of counter movements that we are seeing from a lot of teams top teams, especially from their left backs. If their left backs are energetic, tall, technical, you're probably going to see this. It was a repetitive piece of play. It was a way for England as well to create wide overloads as well within those wider spaces. I think the wide overloads, the sort of passing triangles particularly, can when build up become a little bit slower, just to inject a little bit of speed within this movement, but it simply creates space for others. Sometimes it can be a run for himself, but sometimes it's a sacrificial run to create space for the likes of Harry Kane, to create space for the likes of Declan Rice within these areas. Serbia played a stubborn block, so movement like this can just open up the game a little bit, create a little space for the likes of Kane, for the likes of Rice, for the likes of Rodgers, who want the ball to their feet. But most significantly, it creates space for Marcus Rashford on that 1v1. Now Rashford I think he was pretty decent last night. Within that first half, he was getting by his man, but if you have a more decisive left winger, or if you have Marcus Rashford in a more decisive mood and level of consistency, this can work really well. If you have someone like Bukayo Saka constantly beating his man on the other sides, or somebody just constantly beating his man, this will work so much more. It's the sort of thing that Pep Guardiola could do with Jeremy Doku. Doku, as we know, is a 1v1 monster, probably the best 1v1 dribbler in the Premier League at the moment. But as I said, this is a serious parallel to how Mikel Arteta uses Ricardo Calafiori. If you watch the channel and if you watched the Mikel Arteta video that I did, you will recognise what I'm talking about. Roll the clip. Calafiori, for me, is the absolute key within this phase. If we bring everybody back, we took Fulham back into their usual shape, then Calafiori was just an absolute nuisance for the 90 minutes. Every time Gabriel or Zubamendi or Declan Rice picked up the ball here, Calafiori was drifting across, and that was Wilson's man to take care of. This meant he was often being tucked in. This meant the pass out to Trossard 1v1 with Castagne was just so optimal. He had it on lock. Calafiori was relentless within his movement and just so tricky. His movement is fantastic. He pulls players into him, he pulls players away from him. He literally scored an offside goal from how good his movement was. And then when Trossard gets the ball, he looks to attack the underlapping space. Harry Wilson is not going to follow him the entire way, so then it's Anderson who's going to have to follow him. Who does this create space for? Victor Gyökeres. It's very impressive, and of course Eze running in here, Declan Rice running in here. Calafiori is just an absolute nuisance. Even when Sander Berg was tucked in and around here, Calafiori would drag him away, so it's a free pass to Declan Rice or Gyökeres or even Eze as well. Calafiori is built like a centre-back, but has the energy of a really intelligent striker. And within that free time where Thomas Tuchel is having a look at Declan Rice, Bukayo Saka, Madueke, Lewis Skelly, all of the English Arsenal players like Eberechi Eze, I think he's picked up a little bit of a tactical idea from Mikel Arteta in the way that they can utilise their left winger, and in the way they can utilise the likes of Lewis Skelly and Nico O'Reilly as well. Now I apologise if Thomas Tuchel's already done this back in 2015 against Hoffenheim or something like that, but it does seem like a little bit of a trend within the top clubs at the moment to utilise their technical, athletic and very clever movements like fullbacks with a bit of recovery base. But that is Nico O'Reilly. A very good player. He does have a little bit of sweeping up to do on his defensive side to the game. That defensive know-how, that defensive approach against a 1v1 winger, but this can improve. He's 20, he's essentially a high midfielder that's been moved to left back. He's done a reverse Bukayo Saka. Thank you for watching today's video. If you did enjoy, feel free to smash a like and subscribe to the channel. What do you think of Nico O'Reilly? Is he an England starter? Does he go to the World Cup next year? You've of course got other players within this department like Lewis Skelly, such as Tyrick Mitchell as an outside shout, even Lewis Hall. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.